When some people hear the name Daniel Ortega, the first image that comes to mind may be the leader of the communist Sandinista revolution. But in recent years, the twice-elected president of Nicaragua has been anything but communist. His approach has been more pragmatic, pushing for economic reforms to attract foreign investment while keeping close ties to socialist leaders in the region. Our correspondent John Holman sat down with President Ortega to find out what his new vision is for Nicaragua.
Daniel Ortega, as a young revolutionary and a leader of the Sandinista rebellion.
It shows me you don't know much about Nicaragua.
After toppling dictator Anastasio Somoza, the Sandinistas assumed power. They began mass literacy programs and redistribution of land, with Ortega as president. Civil war erupted as right-wing paramilitaries fought back. When the dust settled in 1990, Ortega declared free elections. He lost to Violeta Chamorro. It was the start of 16 years out of power. The Marxist revolutionary changed, becoming a fervent Catholic and allying with rightist former opponents to regain the presidency in 2007. He's held it ever since, despite widespread complaints of unfair elections and promotion of his family to key positions of power. Under his combination of social programs and free market policies, the economy has grown substantially. Recently, he announced plans to build a canal connecting the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean, together with Chinese entrepreneur Wang Jing. It's a project Nicaragua has been dreaming of for over 100 years. I began by asking him why it would succeed now.
A new interoceanic route through Nicaragua would alleviate the cost that international businesses are starting to pay as they have to line up to go through Panama or have to go around the south cone of the continent. Every time an investor comes through Nicaragua, we talk to them about the idea of the canal. I proposed the canal idea to Wang Jing. He was interested and has turned into an extraordinary promoter of the canal, an organizer who is going to contact the best companies, the financial backing, the right technology, so that we can develop this great canal.
This project will mean a foreign private company digging through Nicaragua, digging through the Lake Nicaragua, which is the biggest lake in Central America. Aren't you surrendering a part of national sovereignty in allowing this canal, this project to take place?
I think the sovereignty of a country depends on the living conditions its people are in. We're not a country that has national sovereignty. We're fighting for it. The revolution gave us the chance to fight for it. But it's a struggle that is just starting. Why? Because Nicaragua is under the conditions of the IMF. Nicaragua is subject to U.S. policies. We are a country that's enslaved by global capitalism. We need to develop productive forces, economic forces that we have in our country. We have to empower those. How do we get that? From a project like the canal.
Your administration has courted foreign private investment for mega projects like a hydroelectric plant, now this canal. How do these big private money projects fit with a government that styles itself as socialist?
We're developing our programs, our projects, based on our socio-economic reality. We're progressing towards socialism. In what time frame? I couldn't say now. We're calling for foreign investment, given that our country doesn't have the capacity or the right conditions to be able to invest in a range of projects whose potential is clear to see. The reality is that we have to go to the main economic forces driving the world. And the important thing is that this investment comes to generate jobs, create income to the country, and it comes with a commitment to support social programs.
Your government is going ahead with drilling for oil in waters that before were considered Colombian. You've been awarded those disputed waters by the International Court. The Colombian government, in turn, has said that it won't accept or permit you drilling in territories they consider as theirs. What's your response to that?
What we suggest is that Colombia, as much as Nicaragua, has to comply with the maritime boundaries the International Court of Justice defined. And we're acting in accordance with that. In fact, in the last few days, we've installed platforms to start drilling inside the area the court decreed in favor of Nicaragua. There have been campaigns underway to try to provoke a military conflict with Nicaragua, but until now, Colombia has been careful. It's been respectful, and there haven't been any major incidents in the recovered zone.
Nicaragua stands in the middle of one of the largest drug smuggling corridors in the world, but despite its poverty, you've kept murder and violence rates low. How have you done that?
This is a legacy of the revolution. Our armed forces were born with the revolution, the police as much as the army, and that's a key factor to take into account. The training they received and keep receiving, the orientation they've been given to work in connection with the people. That explains the model we've used here to combat narco-trafficking and organized crime, in which institutions work with the general population.
However, the police has faced criticism recently for becoming a political tool of your administration.
These are simply opposition campaigns that exist, opposition police against the government, political forces who have their point of view. Where is the neutral vision? The people have it. The general public is that best judge because independently of what analysts from one side or the other say, the public judges the government good, it judges the police good, it judges the army good. So I think that's the best research, the best analysis, the ones from the population at large, because they are the ones that have to live with the police and the army.
What would the young revolutionary Daniel Ortega say to a president who is Catholic, courts huge foreign corporations, and has family members in key government posts?
I met my wife Rosario in the Sandinista front. She wasn't a family member for a long time. She's in a directing power in Nicaragua as a result of that struggle, not because she's my wife. In terms of the political alliances with economic forces, I couldn't think of that then. It would be inconceivable to me. That changed with the triumph of the revolution and the configuration of a new reality in our country. And in front of that new reality, we have been making alliances. But it's very difficult for the young man of those times to see the reality of these times and understand the reality of today. He'd have to pass through the changes that have been produced to understand the reality of today.
Some of the people that we've talked to have said that you have become like Somoza, the dictator that you fought to kick out, who ran the country with his family in key positions, control the media and rigged elections. How does that make you feel?
The truth is that these are opinions, and it's a waste of time debating against them because we know that they respond to interests.
Are you planning to run again as president in the next election?
I'm not going to run away from my responsibilities. I'm not going to retire under any circumstances. The only thing that could cause me to stop is death, or a situation that incapacitates me. That's why I say, as long as God gives me life and health, I'll be fighting for the people.
Muchas gracias, presidente. Sí, un gusto.